Chris, you have been permanently attached to the Twitter feed as well.
That's right.
What are you seeing on the Twitter feeds, on the social media?
Well, one of the people who I've been following is Neil McCarthy, who is a spokesperson for the Archdiocese of Toronto, and he is actually there somewhere in the sea of people there, and he says that the crowds have been really building all morning, real electricity in the air along with the rain. He says that many people have been taking cover under the columns of the colonnade of St. Peter's Square, although not nearly enough room for all of them to fit under there. And he says that there's been lots of women religious in the square praying while they're waiting, and we've seen a few of the images of that. Of course, local time, it's 11:30, just past 11:30 a.m. in Rome, so presumably a lot of people are working, so that maybe is one reason why there are less people today than there were last night. We did receive a number of questions through social media, and we do invite our viewers to send questions by going to our Facebook page or via Twitter to send us your questions, and we'll try our best to answer them. Alicia, one of the questions, which I thought was an interesting one, we don't actually get to see what's happening in the conclave, but after each vote, are the ballots read aloud? And when do they get a chance to talk about what just happened?
Well, Chris, that is a really interesting question, and for our viewers, I'm sure that's something big on our viewers' mind. I know I've been asked that everywhere I go. It's actually a very complicated, it's a very formalized voting process. So each cardinal gets up one by one and lines up and goes to the front of the room where there are 3 urns set on a table. We have smoke! We have smoke coming out of the chimney, and it appears gray. It is leaning towards black. Let's see what happens. We're watching smoke. The smoke capsules used to set the ballots on fire are designed to burn for 7 minutes, so we will have ample smoke. It does not look as dark as last night, but it definitely looks dark gray. We have smoke coming out of the chimney of the Sistine Chapel. It appears dark. The faithful are watching intently.
And Alicia, this has always been one of the elements of the conclave, is not being 100% sure about that smoke. Back in 2005, they began to add the chemicals to change the color, but even then, it's a little bit unclear.
It is indeed unclear. We do know that if it is white, the bells of St. Peter will begin to ring, and they have done that precisely because in past conclaves there has been doubt about the color of the smoke. This time there are 2 stoves in the Sistine Chapel so that enough smoke can be produced to make the color certain.
We're seeing most different Catholic news agencies now are pretty confident that what we're looking at is black smoke, which means we don't have a pope during this morning session.
That's right, Chris.
And these ballots, we understand that this would be ballots from 2 different
Exactly.
votes.
This would be ballots from the first morning vote, which would have been inconclusive, and the second morning vote, which appears to also have been inconclusive. It is burned along with any notes that the cardinals may have been keeping, any papers. Each cardinal keeps an individual tab. Each cardinal keeps note of the ballots. If you're just joining us, smoke is coming out of the chimney of the Sistine Chapel. It appears to be a dark gray.
What we're hearing also on Twitter, and this is reported by Catholic News Service, that in the Vatican Press Hall, a lot of the journalists are surprised that the second and the third ballots would have been done already. Again, we didn't really know. We knew that there was the window for the smoke to appear between 5 and 7:30 a.m., and it's about 6:45 time in Toronto, which is about 11:45, so it's a little bit earlier than maybe we thought.
Yes. We do know that the cardinals are supposed to leave for lunch at 12:30. We're going to keep watching the smoke come out of the Sistine Chapel. We are going to monitor the social media feeds to ensure that this is indeed black smoke. As we mentioned, if the smoke is white, the bells of St. Peter's will begin to ring. And so we wait now, we watch. The crowds are taking cover under the colonnade. They have seen the smoke emerge. The smoke appears to have stopped.
The fact that some people are leaving would seem to indicate that they're pretty confident that
it was black.
Otherwise, they'd be looking for the best possible position in front of St. Peter's Square, the window where a new pope would be emerging.
That's right. If you are just tuning in, we just saw smoke emerge from the chimney of St. Peter's of the Sistine Chapel. Now, while it was a bit gray, it was on the dark side of gray. So the media in Rome, the Vatican, the media at the Vatican Press Hall is calling it black smoke, and we see the faithful leaving St. Peter's Square. It did happen much earlier than we anticipated, or a little bit earlier than we anticipated. We're fairly confident this was not the results from the first round of balloting. There is more smoke coming out. It's still gray.
Now that's interesting, Alicia. I'm wondering why we'd be seeing two very distinct billows of smoke.
Well, Chris, there are two stoves inside the Sistine Chapel. And there's two stoves in the Sistine Chapel so that sufficient smoke can be created for the color to be more readily determined.
Now, we have been told that there is going to be a press briefing today. It's not going to be held in the Vatican Press Hall today, but actually in the Paul VI Audience Hall. And so when we're back again for our afternoon smoke watch, we'll be able to tell you what they were talking about. Father Federico Lombardi and our own Father Thomas Ruzicka, who is assisting with the Holy See Press Office, are there assisting journalists, and so we'll be able to tell you about that when we're back with you later.
That's right. Okay, it's looking gray. It's looking very gray. This is a very exciting moment in St. Peter's Square. The excitement is palpable. A cloud of what looks like very dark smoke is rising from the roof of the Sistine Chapel. Of course, it is normal practice to stay on a little bit longer to make perfectly sure that we have called the color of the smoke correctly. In past conclaves, there's been doubt.
I should say, Alicia, that we have some official Vatican news sources, so actually representing the Vatican, who have called the color. News.va, which belongs to the Vatican Press Office. That is saying that there is black smoke. Also, the Pontifical Council for Social Communications,
which
a related office.
That's
right. They say black smoke.